everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with Karen. Today I'll be going over all the books that I read in January. Hint, it's about 11 books. And then all the books I'm planning on reading in the shortest month of the year, February, which is also Black History Month. So take notes, ladies. Let's get information. Okay, the first book that I read is Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. This has been a very hyped up nonfiction book for the past year, and I'm happy to say it lived up to the hype. I think it was very well constructed. There was a good amount of nonfiction historical context as well as lyrical pieces that she writes throughout the book, and I found it very persuasive. I found it very informative, and like the title says, it is truly the origin of all the issues that we have in the world, caste. So take a look, read it up. The book I read after that to get some lighthearted fun is Crazy Stupid Bromance by Lyssa K. Adams, which is the third book in the Bromance Book Club series, and you know what? These are ridiculous, but I love them. And they still touch on like very serious topics while being a fun rom-com type of read. So we really appreciate that. We'll continue to be reading it. And I just think the trope of like friends to lovers is perfection. So yeah, loved it. 4 out of 5 stars for sure. The book I read after that was Anna K by Jenny Lee. It is a retelling of Anna Karenina in modern day, like New York, Greenwich, whatever. So basically I found that this is too much like Gossip Girl, like trying too hard to be like Gossip Girl, like rich kids just messing around, doing nonsense. And I don't know, that is like done so many times. Like how many times will I watch and read different versions of Gossip Girl at this point? Like not that it was bad, it was just fine. It was average, it was run of the mill. Okay, the book I read after that was A Burning by Megha Majumdar, which is set in Kolkata in India, and it follows the story of 3 different characters simultaneously and their different struggles in India related to different movements that are going on and their identity. So I found that the story didn't really like hit in the end for me. The novel didn't build up to a specific climax point, which is what I typically look for in these type of fictional reads, but I did find the writing around the character lovely, very persuasive, and also very informative and really fun to read because she's an aspiring actress. And I really enjoyed those scenes a lot, but overall I'd say it's about like a 3.5 stars for me. And I also read this with my friends for Reading Book Club. I'll link our Instagram down below so you can check us out. We review books every once in a while and we like talking about them and relating them back to baked goods. So the next book I read after that was Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which is also another rom-com, and this is written by Talia Hibbert. She's been getting a lot of recognition this year, and this book really lived up to the hype. It was so funny, it was so cute, a lot of good smutty sex scenes, which is like perfection, like love that so much. And I just love like different races being in these typical stories. So typically it's like white girl next door, like falls in love with a jock football player, but this is like a smart, driven woman. She's getting her PhD and she's doing the thing, and we love that. So really liked it. 5 out of 5 stars for sure. Then this book I read after that was Arusha and the Song of Death by Roshni Chokshi, which is basically the second book in the series around Arusha, which basically incorporates Hindu mythology into an adventure, and she is actually a new reincarnation of a Pandava, which is basically one of the main 5 brothers in the epic, the Mahabharata. So I really enjoyed it. I think the story's really picking up, and if you take a peek over here, I'll be reading the next book this month. Then I read another kind of like silly little rom-com by Alicia Rye. I actually read her first book last year called The Right Swipe, and I really enjoyed it, but this one didn't really hit it for me. It was like a little too contrived. I didn't really enjoy and like fall in love with any of the characters that much. I feel like a lot for these contemporary romance novels, I need a stronger buy-in in the beginning, and I need to really enjoy the characters, reading about them specifically to continue on with the story. And because like all the stories, let's be real, are all the same. They're like, we hated each other once, or we were just friends once, and then we fell in love. And like, okay, cool, there's not so many different ways you can rewrite that story, and I'm not asking you to rework the wheel, but I want you to write likable characters so I can really buy in. So I was really excited for this one, but this kind of fell flat for me. And then after that, I read They Were Her Property, White Women as Slave Owners in the American South by Stephanie E. Jones-Rogers. I found out she's an assistant professor at Berkeley, so go Bears. And she made such a beautiful nonfiction book that is so it reads so objectively and draws on so many different accounts that were collected right after emancipation. And I think it really does help with the unlearning of how we were taught in schools, especially for me growing up in Virginia, what kind of this like Union, Confederate, Civil War division was really all about, and how white women are truly like large perpetrators, especially in the South, as slave owners. It's not like they were just sitting there drinking iced tea on the porch. No, they were still enforcers within the system. And I think it goes really in depth into that. And the specific chapter that stood out to me was the one on wet nurses, which essentially was about how Black women or enslaved women were used specifically to feed white women's children because they didn't want to themselves, and they didn't want the biological effects of the wear and tear on your body, which, to be fair, yes, like feeding a child is no like fun walk in the park. Like, I can't imagine doing that right now, but it still shows how they were commodified that way just for that reproductive purpose. And it's horrifying and unsurprising all at the same time. And I also read last month Felix Ever After by Case and Callender. This was so well done. It goes in depth on a character and a person that I never really have had the opportunity to read from the perspective of. This is a trans man's experience in New York City. Felix is a very ambitious artist, and he goes to an art school and basically just follows the usual YA tropes of like discussions within friends and drama within friends, fights, fallouts, crushes, whatever, heartbreak. But at the same time, all these friends are still having real discussions about what identity looks like, what privilege looks like. And I found it really well constructed and really well written, and I'll remember it for a long time. So I really appreciated that one. And then the next one after that was Recipe for Persuasion by Sonali Babe. I read the first book, which was a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, and this one is a retelling of Persuasion. This ended up being a lot more serious than like your typical rom-com. It was very like cut and dry, and it really goes in depth about like abusive parental relationships and abuse within marriage and marital rape, which is a huge problem, especially in Indian culture or like arranged marriage situations or just around the world. Like, I think it really dove into those issues a lot more than the romance aspect, which is fine. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that, obviously. And this actually takes place in the Bay Area, which was fun because it was like Palo Alto, Woodside, and like places that are nearby to where I live. So it was really fun to read about that. And she's a chef, so there's a lot of good food scenes. So I really enjoyed this. Definitely like 4-ish stars out of 5. And then the last book I read in January was Entangled Life: How Fungi Make Our Worlds, Change Our Minds, and Shape Our Futures by Merlin Sheldrake, which basically was just this long, amazing kind of ramble about why fungi are awesome and like do so many different random things in the world and the space around us, which we don't even think about or learn about or know about, because they existed way before any animals were on this planet, and they've been doing the most. And there were just a lot of cool fun facts in it, and I like woke up every morning really excited to read this and learn something new about fungi and how they've been used for building new relief shelters because they're so durable as material, and how good fungi are at finding different paths to a different solution, just like computer science. So I found it really, really interesting. I would highly recommend this to anyone who just wants to read a book about like something random and fun and then end up being very fascinated. So 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, 100% would recommend this. And those are all the books I read in January. I think this is going a little longer than expected, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up and then make a second video about the books I'll be reading in Feb. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.